Why isn't the entire market's multiple coming down?
While the S&P 500 and private market are skyrocketing, almost all the ARK ETFs have been hit significantly in 2021. Cathie has never seen anything even remotely close to that, and is pointing towards the indexes as a major bubble. She has even gone as far as to say that she is a deep value fund manager, because the prices in innovation are unbelievably cheap, while index funds are about to crash dramatically. This video will go in depth on why Cathie believes index funds are undergoing one of the largest bubbles in history. Almost everyone sees index funds as the holy grail of investing. The majority of active fund managers struggle to outperform the S&P 500, even though index funds charge a minuscule amount of fees. Warren Buffett has called index funds the best thing to own for the majority of people. This all sounds great, but the popularity of index funds may be fueling up a bubble. ETFs recently posted a record of inflows of $1 trillion in 2021. That is a substantial amount, but the fact that the inflows have been so immense could be a self-fulfilling prophecy. The S&P 500 is simply a bundle of stocks that investment companies like Vanguard closely track to create an ETF. When money flows into the S&P 500, this inflates the valuations of the companies within the S&P over time, therefore creating returns by itself. Essentially, perhaps one of the reasons why fund managers struggle to beat the S&P is because the increasing inflows are inflating the S&P's returns. This is similar to ARK Invest, because if investors sell the ARK ETF, then the stocks inside the ETF will sell off. We can see this with ARKK's assets under management, which decreased from $22 billion in November to just $16 billion today. There are certainly several factors that go into the valuations, but regardless of that analysis, it is quite clear that valuations are at all-time highs. I'm sure those of you following the market have seen the Buffett indicator over and over again. The Buffett indicator is a ratio that takes the total market value of the US stock market and divides it by the annualized US GDP. This ratio is currently at 213%, which is significantly higher than the average. Even when comparing the ratio to the long-term trend line shown on the screen, the Buffett indicator would still be considered overvalued. As you can see in this graph, the Buffett indicator is over 2 standard deviations above the trend line. This means that in this dataset, we are only at these valuations 2% of the time. Some may attribute these equity valuations to inflation, but a deeper analysis shows that the correlation is not positive and may actually be negative. Inflation soared in the late 1970s and early 1980s to rates above 10% at one point. This period is called the Great Inflation for obvious reasons. During this time, the Buffett indicator was actually at all-time lows. If we return back to the graph with standard deviations, you can see how the late 1970s and early 1980s were actually the low points within this graph. Therefore, it would be difficult to attribute rising valuations to inflation. The S&P 500's PDE ratio is also near historical highs at roughly 29, and the S&P Shiller PDE ratio, which adjusts the PDE ratio for inflation, is at 39. It may be strange to see Cathie Wood say that index funds are in a bubble, especially because many see her as the poster child for the modern tech bubble. However, her argument makes sense, given that so many investors and fund managers are blindly investing in the S&P for a quote-unquote guaranteed 10% annual return over time. Cathie believes that the S&P will be seen as much riskier than anticipated, especially as companies in the S&P get disrupted. Speaking of innovation, instant coffee has not innovated much for decades. However, that is changing with the sponsor of this video, Cometeer, by providing a new solution to your morning coffee. Cometeer Coffee uses a flash frozen method to lock in its barista quality flavor and freshness in the first 100% recyclable capsule. The company partners with the best local brewsters and freezes the coffee to bring it right at your doorstep in a moment's notice. All I had to do to make a hot coffee was empty my frozen capsule into a glass and add 8 ounces of hot water. I also made an iced latte by pouring my capsule on the top of 8 ounces of milk and ice and mixing the drink afterward. I really enjoy how Cometeer is disrupting traditional coffee by maintaining the great freshness of coffee while not sacrificing time. There's no need to sacrifice quality for convenience when I can have both with Cometeer. For a limited time, Cometeer has a special offer for fans of the channel. Right now, you can get $20 off your first purchase using my purchase link down below. That's 10 free capsules of coffee and always free shipping. Now let's get back to the video.
I think that the traditional benchmarks talk about risk because of these innovation platforms, DNA sequencing, robotics, energy storage, artificial intelligence, blockchain technologies, because those are going to rip through the traditional world order and disturb it mightily, that those benchmarks are probably where we're seeing the bubble today. I know what I find so interesting about movements in the market today is the fear of interest rates and inflation picking up really started in February of this year as people were getting vaccinated. And the markets went after our strategy to express the risk and basically shorted our strategy. What I find so interesting about this is that the market's multiple, broad-based market, so S&P's multiple on next year's earnings is at 24 times. NASDAQ's is at 31 times. These are near record highs, except for the tech and telecom bubble. If inflation is really the risk out there, why isn't the entire market's multiple coming down? I remember when I started in the business, late 70s, early 80s, Art introducing me to Capital Group on the West Coast, and I'll be forever grateful. Back then, I think by the end of the bear market in 1982, the market's multiple was down to 6. I just mentioned that we're up to 24 on that basis right now.
Let's say you don't agree with ARK Invest, but still see the S&P 500 as a humongous bubble. The greatest opportunity would be to invest in small caps and mid cap stocks, specifically stocks with a market cap below $10 billion. As you can see in this graph, the S&P large cap 4 P/E has increased from roughly 11 in 2011 to roughly 21 today. On the contrary, the S&P mid cap index has only gone from a 4 P/E of 13 in 2011 to 16 today. The S&P small cap index is even more compressed, as it has gone from a 4 P/E of 13 in 2011 to 14 today. It's quite clear from these three graphs that the S&P 500 has increased disproportionately. That being said, ARK Invest looks for a specific type of company, most of which are not even in any of these indexes. We can see in the market cap of ARK's largest positions, which are actually greater than $20 billion for the most part. Given that ARK has a low correlation with the indexes, Kathy found out that if fund managers allocate a small portion of their portfolio to ARK, then their returns would increase and their volatility would actually decrease.
Because most asset allocators are short innovation in the public equity markets, that if they were to include our portfolio, let's say our flagship portfolio, perhaps 10% of their equity allocation to our flagship, and then if they were to use the benchmarks for value and growth over a 5-year period, and we did this study based on facts, our own experience, over a 5-year period, ARK's strategy would increase returns and lower risk because the correlation of our returns with other strategies is very, very low. So that's the primary reason we depend on asset allocators, advisors to allocate as much or as little to our strategy. One thing I will say is, given the massive amount of innovation taking place right now, that is going to be highly disruptive, we do not believe that most asset allocators have enough allocated to innovation.
You might be confused as to how adding a volatile fund like ARKK would actually decrease volatility. The reason why centers around the low correlation. If the S&P 500 increases in the short term and ARKK decreases, both of the funds counteract each other to lower short-term returns compared to just holding the S&P. Furthermore, if ARKK increases by 20% and the S&P 500 decreases by 5%, then net returns would decrease as well compared to just holding ARKK. As many of you should know, short-term trends do not change long-term business fundamentals. Over the long term, the returns will not be significantly impacted by short-term movements. Therefore, adding a fund like ARKK to the S&P 500 would be great for decreasing short-term volatility while potentially increasing long-term returns. We talked earlier about how the S&P 500's P/E ratio is at all-time highs. You might instinctively say that ARK Invest has a P/E ratio significantly higher than the S&P 500, but Kathy's projections say otherwise. She has found that even when predicting FANG-like multiples 5 years out, ARK Invest would still increase by 40% per year over the next 5 years. According to future multiples, ARK Invest related stocks are trading at extreme discounts right now. That is why Kathy would believe she is actually a deep value fund manager, because she is buying stocks at incredibly low 5-year multiples. It might not look like that right now because current multiples are high, but she believes that the amount of future growth will show otherwise.
Now, you're going after multiples in our space, And what has happened, the depreciation in our stocks from mid-February to today has not done anything to our forecast. We're now just getting our companies and our stocks at lower prices. So in mid-February this year, as we did our 5-year forecast, and we assume massive multiple compression during the next 5 years to something like FANG multiples, EV to EBITDA in the 18 to 20 range. When we did that in February, at the peak of our strategy, the compound annual rate of return we expected from our portfolios was roughly 15%. Today, doing that analysis, some of our projections have increased. The compound annual rate of return we are expecting is close to 40%. So in February, we were expecting a doubling over 5 years. Today, we're expecting nearly a quintupling over 5 years.
Cathie Wood clearly believes that the index funds are significantly overvalued in comparison to innovation-related stocks. Michael Burry would say the same too, as he previously called out the index fund bubble and claims that the real opportunities are in the small cap stocks. Similar to collateralized debt obligations before the 2008 recession, investors are blindly putting their money in index funds without analyzing a single company. Burry sees this as dangerous and believes that index funds are going to crash as a result. So there you have it, the index fund bubble explained. Let me know what you think about index funds down below. Are you going to continue to invest in index funds, or are you thinking of diversifying elsewhere? If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.